Hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of Scottish Referendum Week. My name is Jason Downey.
And my name's Stephen Blower.
And this is Chatterbox Radio Show. So, I've got some infographics here. Infographics are the easiest way to recycle down complex arguments into something overly simple. And these are arguments that are talking about why Scotland should become an independent nation. Of course, Scotland is voting in a referendum on Thursday, September 18th, as to whether they should become an independent nation or not. And today we're going to talk about some reasons that Scotland might want to become independent. So,
what have you got?
The big one seems to be oil. Scotland has a lot of oil reserves in the North Sea, and according to this infographic, it says that should Scotland become independent, it would become the eighth wealthiest of the world's advanced economies, and the UK would be the 17th. That seems counterintuitive to me. What do you think?
Okay, I think this is probably another statistical trick. I guess this has been calculated on per head of population.
Oh, okay.
So when you look at a country like Scotland that has a very small population and reasonably sizable oil reserves, then when you divvy it up per head of population, each head has quite a lot of money attributed to it.
Oh yeah, that's simple, like division trick, right?
Yeah, but when you actually look at world rankings, for example, the World Bank rankings of richest nations, obviously...
And I've got that right here.
Yep, United States is at the top, followed by China, Japan, and so on down to UK number 6.
Yeah.
And I think it was the World Bank that calculated that if Scotland leaves the Union, then the rest of England that's left will still be number 6.
Okay, so England,
world's richest nations.
England, Wales, and Northern Ireland by themselves will still be number 6.
Yeah, so I don't see how Scotland figures above that.
But that's interesting to me because the Scottish economy can't be that small, right? I mean, according to the World Bank list, the UK is number 6 with, let's see, this is measured in millions of US dollars. The UK, according to the World Bank, has $2,535,761 million of GDP. Not sure what that is in normal English. But the next country down is Brazil, and it's only a difference of about $300,000 million. So is Scotland such a small economy? I mean, with all these oil reserves, right?
Right. Actually, I don't know what the size of the Scottish economy is from oil, but
it seems like,
I guess, not that big.
Well, I mean, I think what you said earlier is true. Like, these statistics are true if you look at it from a certain angle. For example, here's the next thing that it says on this infographic. It says Scotland has got huge green energy resources, and it's got a pie chart. And actually, I'll put the pie chart here in the video. And it's only two colors. Scotland takes up 25% of the pie, and the rest of Europe take up the other 75%. And this is supposed to signify Scotland's huge green energy resource reserve.
Right. And, well, that's an interesting infographic. And
sounds great.
Yeah, it does. It's impressive, isn't it? And if you were Scottish and voting in this, you'd think, hell, we should take these 25% of the natural resources, green energy resources we have. I mean, that's 25% of the whole of Europe. Of course, when you look at the small print at the bottom...
let me read that right now, just for our audience. It says, quote, "We have 25% of Europe's offshore wind and tidal energy potential. By 2050, our offshore renewables could be worth £14 billion a year."
Okay, and there are 2 important words there. One is potential.
Wind and tidal energy potential.
And the other one is could.
The renewable energy could be worth £14 billion a year.
Okay. they haven't been developed yet.
Huh.
So, talking about potential, it's very iffy. Who knows?
So actually, yeah. So it could be possible to develop this energy infrastructure, but it hasn't been developed yet.
And really, if you have a whole load of oil sitting on your doorstep, are you going to be developing your green energy resources? Probably not.
Well, fair enough. I wonder. Yeah. And in fact, this is interesting because like yesterday I was looking at the infographics and the stats as to why Scotland would want to become an independent nation, and the arguments seemed pretty good. But like, I wasn't reading the original sources, and I'm not reading like pages and pages of numbers regarding GDP and renewable energy and this and that. I'm just looking at these simple infographics, basically, or little news stories.
I mean, the problem is that with statistics, they get bent whichever they want. Who's ever molding them can mold them to look how they want.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of these infographics on this site are probably put out by the yes voters, the ones who want an independent Scotland. I mean, I was looking at a statistic that says that Scotland has more top 200 universities per head of population than anywhere else.
Sounds good.
It does. They have 5 in the top 200 universities.
This is in the world?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But then they only have a population of just over 5 million.
That is less than New York City.
Right. So
okay.
It's not a particularly huge population, and they happen to have some good universities. So in terms of that statistic, everyone says, yeah, we have more top 200 universities per head of population than anywhere. But of course, if you were, for example, in the Netherlands, you would say Netherlands has more top 200 universities per kilometer than anywhere else, because they have a very small country and a lot of universities. They actually have, I think, 14 top 200 universities, but they have a very large population.
For that size country.
Yeah. So if you look at it per head of population, nowhere near Scotland. If you look at it in terms of per kilometre, they have almost 5 times as many top 200 universities per kilometre as Scotland does.
Okay, so actually this kind of stuff you see in American politics quite a lot. People bending statistics. It's a natural thing to do if you're trying to win your argument. The interesting thing I'm finding here, for better or worse, is that there's no mudslinging going on. And I usually hate mudslinging, sort of when you badmouth the other side, right? I really don't like it. But like in this case, it seems like the yes vote side are putting forward all of these statistics that seem like a sure bet, right? Scotland could become one of the top 10 wealthiest nations in the world just by virtue of separating. Which would be amazing if it were that easy. However, that's assuming, Scotland doesn't get entangled in any international conflicts. There's no, a volcano doesn't explode in Iceland and make it very difficult to take a plane to Scotland from anywhere else in the world. Any number of things could happen that sort of derails this economic project.
I mean, a lot of this, devolution thing seems to rest on oil. This is what, the SNP, the Scottish National Party, is pushing, that Scotland has all this oil and it should be all for Scotland. They're basing their economy on oil. And one big problem is that when you have a economy based on a single resource, what happens when oil becomes cheap? And at the moment it's expensive, and so, they're riding the wave saying, yeah, this is worth a fortune to us. But there have been times in the past when, oil has crashed. The price of oil is very dependent on the OECD. If they decide to start pumping lots of oil, then the price of oil goes down like crazy. And all of a sudden, that great economy you have in Scotland is not so great.
And I think that's what's surprising to me, that something like that is possible, right? It's might not definitely happen, but it's certainly possible. And yet you don't hear the UK government being like, guys, listen, like, these arguments are being shined to a nice finish. Like, listen to us. You know, together we can have this economic buffer zone that won't really exist if you separate from the UK. But the UK politicians don't seem to be talking about it like that, right?
Well, as we were saying the other day, I think they've come late to the party. North of the border, the yes voters have been pushing their argument for quite some time, but it hasn't sort of been heard south of the border. And all of a sudden, those in the rest of the UK are just waking up to what's going on, and they're scrambling now to try and gain back ground. But
they really don't have the time anymore to think up, you know, realistic arguments to sway people the other way.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's also, I mean, yeah, it's, as an American, it seems nice. Like, this is such a civil debate. And even though I'm really worried about statistical games like this, it's nice not to hear, you know, oh, the leader of the Scotland Nationalist Yes Party is a communist, fascist, alien terrorist.
I think at the moment, you know, it's undecided. There could be that sort of thing coming out, actually, if they do split away. You know, if they become an independent nation, they will probably have to apply to rejoin the EU.
Okay.
And it may not be as easy as they think.
Why is that?
Because, as we discussed yesterday, there are the separatist movements within Europe. Certainly, for example, like in Spain with the Basque separatists, the Spanish government will not want to legitimize the Scottish government because that will only encourage the Basques to do the same sort of thing. So you may find within Europe that, you know, some of these European countries with separatist movements will say, oh, nope, sorry, you're not joining Europe. So that as well could put the Scottish economy in jeopardy.
That's interesting. Yeah, like even if England and the rest of the UK are okay with Scotland separating, other countries have political reasons, not to sort of agree with that. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right. Well, anyways, it seems that we have had a discussion about some of the statistics, facts, and reasoning being thrown around in this Scotland independence debate. If you're interested, please check it out yourself. It's very interesting. And let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think that Scotland will be able to develop its oil economy as easily as it is being presented? Do you think the transition from a UK country to an independent Scotland will be as smooth as is being argued or not? Let us know. We will be interested in developing this conversation with you. And we will see you tomorrow on Thursday, Japan time, not Scotland time, of Scottish Referendum Week here on Chatterbox Radio. My name is Jason Downey.
And I'm Stephen Blower.
See you
Bye
tomorrow.
for now.